So yeah, this, what we're dealing with here, and why don't you do the honors? Oh, that's so sweet. A little cheers. Thank you.
The Finnish?
It's a Finnish. This is called the long drink. It's from Finland. We've got a lot of Finns out here in Livingston County, Michigan. I don't know if you know that or not. Also up in the UP. We got
a little racist? No?
Racist? I'm saying good things about the Finns.
You told me you didn't like Finnish people.
That is a gross exaggeration.
It's not. You just said anybody that's not Irish is a piece of shit.
No, I said there's two kinds of people, the Irish and the jealous. I didn't say that there's any problem with any other people.
You didn't have to say it. We were thinking it.
I love Finnish people. Big families, good family folks. But in Finland, when they had the big Olympics, what is Finland? It's not Lillehammer, right? That's
You're close.
It's Helsinki.
It's Helsinki.
Yeah. Helsinki, they had to think of a drink to nourish all of these people that were coming for the Winter Olympics. So they came up with this was, I guess it was a drink for a long time, but it was something you can make a lot of in like big volumes of. So this citrus long drink came over from Finland, I guess years ago, but it got popularized because the actor from the Tom Cruise movie Maverick, Miles Teller, he was in Whiplash, the drummer. You know the guy I'm talking about, Miles Teller, the actor?
He was in Top Gun?
There's the new Top Gun. He's the younger guy.
New Top
like
Gun.
Tom Cruise, like Goose's son.
I didn't see the new Top Gun. I know it's supposed to be a good movie.
Oh my God, you didn't see the new Top Gun?
I saw the old one. I don't like that new shit.
What the shit?
No.
I mean, where are you? What rock are you living underneath?
I don't know.
This movie saved cinema.
The new Top Gun?
The new Top Gun completely saved cinema after the pandemic. Irrefutable. But anyway, Miles Teller invested in this company. He came to Michigan and he bartended at like Michigan State and on campus at U of M and went around over to Grand Rapids and like promoted this, and it's taken off. I love it.
No, it's tasty.
I'm a big fan of long drink.
It's a little sweet, but it's tasty.
You're a little sweet.
I am a little sweet, but I can use some.
You can't handle the truth.
I can't handle
Speaking
the
of
truth.
Tom Cruise,
Oh,
you can't handle the truth.
Is that where we're going?
That's where we're going.
Right
Most important movie scenes in the history of cinema. Let's launch right into a GOAT afternoon with the Beer Man and Joe Willie. The one I'm featuring right off the bat, A Few Good Men, Nicholson, because Tom Cruise can't handle the truth. Got a little Kevin Pollak in supporting role. Smoldering Demi Moore behind the bench, right? Mm-hmm. Huge cast, A Few Good Men. That scene, you can't handle the truth.
Oh, it's a great movie. I mean, every time I see it, I've got to watch it. You know, I've got to watch it. I can't not watch
Code Red? Did you tell him to give him a Code Red, Beer Man? I'm just saying.
You can't handle the truth.
I couldn't handle it.
No, I couldn't handle the truth.
I liked the movie, though.
No, I did like the movie a lot.
What's your counterpoint to that one?
Oh, gosh, there's so many of them. I don't know about this one. The pottery wheel in Ghost. Obviously, that's that's one of the best movie scenes they say there is.
You brought up
the pottery.
You just rolled over and showed your soft underbelly.
I do. I'm a lover. I'm a lover.
You got a little sweet
I'm
romance.
a little bit of a lover. Very, very.
He comes at me with, and then I got a little tear in my eye because Patrick Swayze. You know, he left us far too young.
I know. My next one is The Shawshank Redemption, when he finally made it through the tunnel and he busted out and he got out and he tore his shirt off, right? And he's out. He's free.
Yes.
Right? That's one of my favorite
Crawled
movie scenes.
through 2.5 miles of shit and whatever.
Yeah.
But I got to go back. You hit me with Patrick Swayze. The Outsiders.
Yeah. When
Dally Winston, when you think he's in the hospital and he's not going to be able to make the big brawl at the end, and he comes right out, you're not going to have a rumble without me. Outsiders was just you want to talk about a cast?
I don't think I've ever watched The Outsiders from beginning to end.
Why?
I don't know. I just never have. I've seen bits and pieces of it. Never watched the whole thing.
Do yourself a favor. You got Tom Cruise, Rob Lowe, Patrick Swayze, Emilio Estevez, C. Thomas Howell, Ralph Macchio, Diane Lane. I can keep going. Matt Dillon, though.
Yeah.
As Dallas Winston.
Yeah, it's when they were young.
Francis Ford Coppola. Did you know that a woman wrote that? And not only a woman, she wrote the book when she was 16 years old.
How do you know that?
S.E. Hinton is a woman. And she wrote that book when she was in high school.
What's wrong with you? Yeah. Who knows that? How do you know that?
Some things stick.
Yeah, I know. Some things stick. The game of catch in the Field of Dreams.
Oh, you're going for all the touching moments.
No, that's dude. When he's playing catch with him out on that field that he built, who was he playing catch with?
His dad.
No,
the younger version of his dad. That's who he was playing with.
No,
yes,
it was.
Yes, that was his father.
Oh, I thought it was.
That was Shoeless Joe Jackson.
I thought it was Shoeless Joe.
No, that was Ray Liotta. He went into the field. Remember, he looked back at him.
That's right.
And he pointed, and it was like, "Hey, that's your dad."
Oh,
that's the unspoken part of that.
Yeah.
Oh my God, but I got to go with The Godfather. The baptism montage at the end of The Godfather.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, where everybody gets their comeuppance.
We'll see if you get this one. What's in the box? What's in the box?
7, Kevin Spacey.
No, what's in the box? He keeps asking it. He knows what's in the box, and he's like, fuck.
Brad Pitt, Morgan Freeman, Kevin Spacey.
Yeah, that's one of my favorites.
I'm going to agree with you. I do like King of the World, Titanic. When I hear Celine Dion, I immediately think of DiCaprio and Winslet on the Titanic in the King of the World scene. I can't stop it. I know that's...
Give me money. Give me power. I don't care. Inigo Montoya.
Oh, that's right. Princess
Bride. Give me money. Give me power. I don't care.
I don't try.
And Elon Musk, you've seen him repeat that. Yeah. Right? When he's in that CNBC interview, they're like, all these people, they're not going to advertise on Twitter. Don't advertise. It's real simple. You're going to threaten me with money?
My name is Inigo Montoya. You killed my father. Prepare to die.
Prepare to die.
Prepare to die. I've known too many Spaniards.
Oh, these are too good. I mean, I know you're going to get all of them. I mean, life's a box of chocolates.
Yes.
You get all that. Would you give me a foot massage? Foot massage mean nothing. Would you give me a foot massage?
Oh, Vincent Vega and Jules. Yes, indeed.
Fuck you.
Yeah. The big Hawaiian?
Yeah.
Is that a big Hawaiian burger? Hawaiian? But no, the
He's
most
Samoan. He fucking fell out of a window. He's got a weight problem. What do you mean? He's fucking Samoan. Oh God.
But as far as the most startling moment, okay, the most startling moment that I was ever sitting in the theater and went, holy shit, what just happened, was when that door opens on the thing that the soldiers in World War II used to hit the beach, Saving Private Ryan. The door opens and those German machine gun nests are up on the beach. And they all just start getting smoked.
Yeah.
Like these guys, I mean, you could have been the toughest, strongest. You just come out of training. You're at the apex of your life.
Doesn't
and
matter
that door
if they got a bullet.
Oh, exactly. That thing drops and pop, 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 you're gone. End of story. I was just like, wow, that was the moment.
The moment for me, and this is going to sound a little weird. I'm into like...
You're into weird
shit. No, I'm not into
things?
weird shit. Shut the fuck up. I'm into Animal Planet, right?
Well,
just shut up.
Hey,
I'm not into animals fucking.
I don't have time to get the FBI here.
Just hold on. So in Jurassic Park, when you saw that first dinosaur...
Yeah.
I shit my pants. I was in a movie theater because it looks so real. When he grabbed her head, he's looking at this huge dinosaur.
Did you think you were just breaking
there?
wind?
That Laura Dern's sitting there, and she turns her head, and she stands up, and that huge dinosaur. That was the first time you saw a dinosaur ever in your life. That looked real.
It better be the first time you ever saw a dinosaur in your life because they don't exist.
They don't exist. Guess what? They're really. You mean the movie's fake?
Yeah, I can't.
Okay.
I can't do better than the first dinosaur scene because you brought up the Jules and Vincent Vega stuff.
Dude, there's 10 of them on there that are classics.
But how about Monty Python? Bring out your dead. Bring out your dead. He's not dead yet. You know the one I'm talking about?
Yeah,
the guy still.
I do, but I didn't. I just didn't.
He'll be dead any minute.
Monty Python didn't work for me. I could watch bits of it, but to sit there and watch, it just wasn't interested for me. I don't know.
You couldn't do Monty Python.
No.
Fast forward then. Give me some Ron Burgundy.
Oh.
I got many leather-bound books.
Oh, God.
I've got so many leather-bound books. Really, I don't know if you know this now, but
I'm something special.
That's right.
Something special.
I can't get enough of the Ron Burgundy stuff, but there's a whole old school Wedding Crashers.
Yeah.
You motorboat, son of a bitch, you.
Son of a bitch.
Everyone, give a little shout out to Gary Rattan. He's a big old school Wedding Crashers fan. 40-Year-Old Virgin. The whole mix of those has just one killer scene after another. And then Talladega Nights. Piss excellence.
Yeah. I love the 40-Year-Old Virgin when he's with Seth Rogen and he's like, just walk up to her and ask her questions. That's it. Only questions. That was fucking the best scene. Do you? Do you want to? Are you in the mood?
What would you do if I said that?
What would you do? Give him an offer he can't refuse. The Godfather. That's a great line. One of the best scenes.
How about Step Brothers? Since we're talking about that, we got the Talladega Nights. The same two. John C. Reilly and Will Ferrell in Step Brothers, where he leads it. They do the interview together. He leads it in the side.
That's like you and Nate Bush. When I see that, that's like you and Nate Bush.
Excuse me. I think I can handle that question.
Yeah. Oh, God. Oh, fuck.
That's good stuff.
It is. Oh, I got a couple more. My number 2 is you're going to need a bigger boat.
You're going to need a bigger boat.
You're going to need a bigger boat.
Which one is that?
You mean it's in Jaws when he walks to the back of the boat and he's spitting the chum and the fucking shark comes up, he backs up all the way and he says you're going to need a bigger boat. Then my number 1 is Luke, I am your father.
Oh, yeah.
Remember that?
Oh, yeah.
That's
Empire
my number
Strikes
1.
Back.
Empire Strikes
Lando
Back.
Calrissian, little Billy D. Williams in there.
Yeah.
You know what? I should have gotten, you're going to need a bigger boat. But when I think about Jaws, I always think about that crazy story he tells about the carrier that got hit by that dropped off the payload for the atomic bomb. And then on the way back, it got hit by a torpedo and all the men went in the water and they got eaten by the sharks.
Yeah.
When he tells that story, I'm just riveted. Like that's the monologue for me in Jaws. Yeah. We digress. We are going to talk about a football subject at some point today.
Oh, okay.
We do have right here in the city of Detroit one of the most dynamic wide receiver duos playing in the NFL today because we're going to talk about wide receivers. I know that's a hard segue out of that. You know, right now, you look across the NFL, and there's some pretty good duos. We've seen a couple of them already in town here against us with DK Metcalf and Lockett and is it Njigba Smith? I don't know how you pronounce the first part of that last name. But they got 3 good receivers in Seattle. And then you got Godwin.
We got Minnesota.
And Mike Evans in Tampa Bay.
Yeah, we got Minnesota this week.
Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison.
They are on fire. Their defense is playing good. Their quarterback's playing good. Their offense is playing good. They've beat the shit out of most of the teams.
But yeah, they got a great tandem. But Amon-Ra St. Brown, J-Mo Williams, I mean, these are 2 dynamic football players.
I was saying before this week we need a third. I know that,
but Patrick
has
emerged.
He made a good catch the other day, but
Tim Patrick is 6'5". He was on the way up when he got the bad injury. He hasn't played a snap in 2 years.
You got to be able to get open though. In the past that he did catch, he kind of came back on it. I'm talking about somebody that can get open in one-on-one consistently as a third receiver, and we don't have
third receivers.
But now maybe we need a defensive end more than we need a receiver.
Third receivers are usually in the slot, not always, but third receivers are usually in the slot. Sometimes they'll move people around to get matchups. So let's start there because Julian Edelman is probably the most recent great slot receiver, right? Where he just was exclusively a slot guy for most of his career, wins the Super Bowl MVP.
Yeah, but the Patriots had 3 Julian Edelmans.
And who were they?
Oh, God.
I love this.
I know. I remember.
One of them's a multiple-time All-Pro.
And he played for the Lions, too.
You're thinking that's the third one.
The third one.
Yeah, Wes Welker.
Wes
Welker's the big one.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That they probably shouldn't have let get away, but they did, and they've replaced him.
Yeah.
You're thinking of Danny Amendola.
Danny Amendola. Too.
Amendola was the other slot, and then, of course, Edelman puts the cherry on the top of that dessert that was 6 Super Bowls in New England with Tom Brady. So people say plumbers and mechanics, and whether or not Julian Edelman, Wes Welker, and Danny Amendola would have been nearly as good had they not have Tom Brady.
Yeah.
I'm sure that comes into...
Like we've talked about, life's about timing. When you're in your peak, what do you have? 3-4 years where you're a really good football player in the NFL. Some have 10. Some, Tom Brady has 20. Very rare. You normally have a 4 or 5 good year run where you're really good.
There's really only one receiver that has had that kind of career. We'll get to him when we break down the wide receivers at the highest level. But other guys who started in the slot and are still playing today, at least in one case, Cooper Kupp.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people thought that's all he was going to be. And all of a sudden now, he's become a pure stud.
When you watch him now, he's slowed a little bit.
You get hurt, you get banged up.
You get banged up. You get banged up and your ankle doesn't flex like it used to. I mean, I've got all kinds of shit like that now, obviously at 55. But even when you're 35, you get banged up a couple times and you're really close to getting a surgery, yet you don't get it just because people that have got the surgery don't come back that well. It's tough to stay in your prime.
Yeah.
Little things get to you. Fasciitis, shit like that. Little stuff that comes up.
Tyler Lockett plays in the slot for Seattle, a great receiver. And
Look at San Fran's receivers. They got great receivers.
Well, I mean, they're putting Debo out in the slot and using him wherever they want.
They're using a tailback.
So Debo Samuel's the next one on the list for sure. I mean, but that guy is the Swiss Army knife of offensive football. Yeah. You can do anything with him. You can use him all over the field. They do, and he's the most effective in the game at that right now. He's the one, when I sit there and game plan, if I'm Aaron Glenn and Dan Campbell, and I'm looking at what I have to do in the NFC to get through, I'm worried the most about Debo Samuel.
I would agree.
I don't think there's any other player that threatens the Lions getting to the Super Bowl more than that guy does.
That's another thing, too. You saw what they paid that third receiver they signed, Ayuk. They paid him a lot of money.
I mean, he's supposed to be their number one because Debo's really like this tweener, but Debo definitely is the number one.
My point is you need more than 2. And I really think we just have 2 with the Lions. They've got to trade for someone.
The other guys like that, Packers with Rodgers and with Favre had this kind of play, right? Remember they had Jordy Nelson.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they had 3 receivers. They didn't just throw to 2. You can't do it. You got to have 3. That's why I'm saying we've got to get another receiver, I think. I think it's almost more important than a defensive end right now.
It's interesting. You've seen guys do it from the slot like Steve Smith. Steve Smith, to me, is the quintessential slot receiver. Brett Perriman was built in that mold, too, in your era. Antonio Brown started in that mold and then kind of grew to become the main guy with Pittsburgh and other places. We can get into what a mental meltdown the Antonio Brown show. I mean, it's a long way from Mount Pleasant, Michigan, isn't it?
Yeah.
CMU Chippewa.
I don't even know what to say about him. Just the stuff that he did and running off the field, pulling his shirt off.
Only Deshaun Watson today rivals the meltdown of Antonio Brown. I think Antonio Brown's is worse because he did walk off the field.
Did you see that on 4th down? He just walked off the field.
Deshaun Watson said, I'm done.
I tried it 3 times.
Oh, you want to go for it?
I tried it 3 times. I'm good. Just kick the field goal.
No thanks.
Yeah. And the head coach is like, what?
I know.
Where are you going?
I know.
And you can't cut him. They got to pay him another $200 million guaranteed.
I was hoping that this utter debacle that has now transpired in Cleveland would get Myles Garrett loosened with the loss of Aiden Hutchinson. Myles Garrett maybe comes and decides he wants to become a Detroit Lion. I know it's a massive contract.
There's no way we get him. We're not going to pay somebody for, what's he making, $40 million a year?
We're going to probably have to give up 2 number ones.
No. There's better people out there.
There's nobody better than Myles Garrett.
I know there's nobody better, but if he was that good, Cleveland would be better.
Yeah.
It's not like they're shutting people down on defense and the offense is falling on its face. That's not happening.
I'm going to give you another slot receiver who ended up being a number 1 because we just talked about Antonio Brown and he was the Pittsburgh Steelers. Hines Ward.
Oh, I can't believe you just said that.
Yeah.
I don't know any names.
Jinx. Buy me a long drink.
Yeah. But he ended up being a stud because he had other receivers around him. That's my point, is that we've got 2 receivers on the Lions you've got to worry about. The third, you really don't. I know he made a good catch. He came back.
Several good catches.
No. No, he hasn't.
Oh yeah, he had a couple nice balls.
Did he have two of them? I saw one of them. Maybe if he can keep that up, then he's a good option for us. But we've got to have a third receiver that can get open when they're double teaming St. Brown and they're double teaming J-Mo, or they got a safety over J-Mo. You've got to have that other receiver be able to get open.
The best group that I've ever seen to round out your concept here. I do agree with you. In today's NFL, the third receiver is going to cost you a game if they can't catch the football.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
We saw it last year with a couple of drops in the San Francisco game.
Yeah.
Okay. The one team to me that had the most complete receiver package was the greatest show on turf with
St. Louis.
Yeah. With Holt, Bruce, and Ricky Prohl.
Yeah.
I don't know and I know there's other guys who mixed into that over the years, but I don't know that I've ever seen any better. I know the Colts, when they had Harrison, Reggie Wayne, and I can't remember the third guy in that mix, but he was also good. Was it Brandon Stokely?
I think so. It's just such a throwing game, and especially when you factor in penalties. The second you get beyond 5 yards in the NFL, if you get touched, they're calling a penalty now.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. It's the most important part of the game, I think, is defensive backfields and them. Our DBs are very handsy, and we get called a lot.
Did you listen to Tom Brady talk about that during the broadcast with the Lions?
No.
Okay, so I don't know who your favorite broadcasters are.
I thought Tom Brady was actually pretty good.
I thought Tom Brady did a very nice, especially for being this young in his career. I thought he did a fine job.
Yep.
But the point that he made that was so correct, and the stylistic point, this only comes from a guy who knows the intricacies of football at the highest level. When he sat there and said, you know what? Sometimes you got to commit to a philosophy. And if you're going to play hands-on, you have to know they're not going to call pass interference 5 plays in a row.
Yeah.
They will
let it go.
They will end up letting it go. You will wear them down. The referees don't like to be the impediment of a football game.
Absolutely. I mean, and there was
the crowd starts getting on them.
They called it 3 times in a row.
Yeah.
In some of these games, and they're going to call it 5? Probably not. But they could.
And what's funny is then I saw Bill Belichick comment on one of the shows after the game. Is Bill Belichick said, "Oh, so everybody's just figured out what the Patriots have known for the last 20 years. You got to put your hands on people, or you can't play this game."
No, you have to watch Alabama football.
Yeah,
watch their DBs. And Nick Saban's he's figured it. And Nick Saban's not the coach, but he's taught the way that they think and the way that they play is from Bill Belichick. They are all over receivers.
Oh,
they've got stick them on them.
Didn't we talk about George Perlis? Because George Perlis, Nick Saban was his defensive coordinator at Michigan State, right? Those Steelers steel curtain defenses, and then that trickles down through the lineage to Bill Belichick. Saban and Belichick are close. This all comes from the same coaching philosophy. Look, be handsy, get your hands on them, don't give up big plays. They're not going to call it 5 times in a row.
Yeah.
And Brady was the first person to say it out loud.
Yeah.
Why? Because Brady's got giant balls, and the reason he has giant balls is because he doesn't care. He's the greatest of all time. The thing I like about having Tom Brady in the booth is you're going to hear things from him that all the rest of these guys are afraid to say, because Roger Goodell ain't saying shit to Tom Brady.
Yeah.
Tom Brady's the franchise.
Yeah.
Right? The shield.
Remember 30 years ago, the quarterback must go down. Not
if it's
now.
Tom Brady.
Now you can't touch him. Look in the Jets game.
Oh,
it was
ridiculous.
A clean sack.
And
they called it a
body
penalty.
weight. Not only did he not put body weight on him, he put one of his hands down to show them that he wasn't putting his body weight on him.
Even Aaron Rodgers said, "I can't believe they called that."
I know.
It's just not right.
I know.
Different game.
So receivers are going to have to fight through this year. And the one thing I will say is this. We probably more than ever in history, and part of this is the science and nutrition and the incredible workout routines and the specialists that they have, but you've got some guys playing wide receiver in this league that are just dudes. I mean, you look at DJ Metcalf, and if he was coming at you, you would think this is some kind of superhuman.
Yeah.
I mean, he is built like a brick shithouse, and he's moving in the 4-5 range, right? So these super highly skilled, massively athletic human beings moving at a high rate of speed, of course you got to grab them and hold them. But the guys who are the best at it are still getting open. They're still calling for jump balls, and they're still making big plays.
Yeah.
Who right now, as we speak, is going to be in your GOAT conversation looking back at this in the rearview mirror?
For sure, the receiver from Minnesota, Jefferson. Can't cover him. He's open every play. I think Amon-Ra St. Brown is almost undefensible. Have you seen anyone shut him down?
Just from a route running standpoint.
You can't shut him down. Look at his routes. His cuts are so clean, so fast. He comes out of his cuts so fast.
Yeah.
And he's so tough.
Just a little smaller version of Larry Fitzgerald.
Yeah.
So that's the guy I would, from a route running standpoint and always open standpoint, he makes himself an option for the quarterback all the time. I would put him in the same conversation with Fitzgerald.
I went to one Lions training camp practice and watched him in one-on-ones. Nobody.
Yeah.
Terry and Arnold, doesn't matter. He smoked everybody. Nobody can cover him one-on-one.
What about Tyreek Hill?
Yeah, he's in that same group. He's a little smaller. I don't know. I mean, he's got a lot of the same type of skills. He's got obviously more speed.
Blinding speed.
Yeah. I mean, I can't.
Uncoverable speed if you're left one-on-one.
Well, unless you can grab hold of them.
That's right. And they're going to have to.
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 We talked about Deebo Samuel.
Yeah, he's one of them.
I don't think that DK Metcalf, because he's been stuck out there in the Pacific Northwest, I don't think people give him as much run as he probably deserves. You know, it's almost like who's the new young thing. Like before Neighbors got hurt, everybody was talking about him and how he and Daniel Jones were going to be a lethal combination. He catches 10 or 12 balls. You know, there's some guys who just kind of get lost in the mix.
Yeah.
The guy who keeps showing up on the radar for me every single year, and now he's into like a dozen years of doing it, is Mike Evans.
Yeah.
Down in Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
You want to talk about a reliable, big, athletic wide receiver who will go get it and not miss 7 games a season?
Yeah.
Mike Evans is always there.
Yeah.
And you're seeing what Baker Mayfield's doing with him and Godwin right now.
Yeah.
They're putting up 50 points.
I mean, look when we played him, what Godwin did. Didn't he have 10 catches in a row?
Yeah. I mean,
that's a good point, though, is what I'm talking about, is when they shut down your main receiver or your main 2 receivers, you got to have somebody that can get open.
Yes.
And I don't think that Tim, what's his last name?
Patrick.
He's okay, but I just haven't seen him do enough to make me think that he's going to be able to get open when it counts.
Or you got to have a quarterback that in those breakdown moments can run the ball. And that's what I worry about with Tampa Bay too. Baker Mayfield can put the ball under his arm. You know, the thing about what Baker Mayfield did to the Lions and what he just did to the Saints, and you know, by the time this podcast drops, who knows how many times he will have done it to other teams. He just has a knack for doing the right thing at the right time in a big moment. And a lot of that, I think, has to do with the chip on his shoulder. You know, he's the only walk-on to ever win the Heisman Trophy.
Really?
Walked on and won the Heisman Trophy.
There's a lot more that goes into it. Tom Brady had a knack, and he couldn't run. Jared Goff has a knack, and he can't run. I mean, Joe Flacco has a knack, and he can't run.
Joe Montana
has a knack, and he can't run.
He could run when he was younger, but yes, I get it.
But that wasn't one of his attributes.
It's not what he was known for.
Not at all. So I don't know. It's a weird thing. I mean, it's if you get it done, then you've got a knack for it, right? Whether it's running or passing or the way that you scramble, like Aaron Rodgers, when he was really good 5-6 years ago, just how he could feel the pressure in the pocket and get out of issues. I see him getting a little older now. He doesn't get out of them as good as he used to, or maybe his offensive line isn't as good.
I look at the list, right? So now we're getting into the historical view of the wide receiver position. And it does depend a lot on who you had at quarterback. So if I look at the list and say who had the least to work with at quarterback, I'm probably going to go with who I already mentioned, Larry Fitzgerald. He had Kurt Warner for a minute, He had Carson Palmer, and then he had a bunch of guys who just plugged in, hit or miss, across a long variety. I mean, it was like a Johnny Carson comedian list there. I mean, they just kept rolling him in there. But he kept doing it. I mean, like it didn't matter who the quarterback was. Kind of like Terry McLaurin is right now with Washington. Doesn't matter who you plug in. McLaurin makes catches. Fitzgerald makes catches. He went to 11 Pro Bowls with a very inconsistent quarterback position feeding him the football. And he's third all time on the touchdowns list. Second all time in receptions.
He went to 11 Pro Bowls. Is that what you just said?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he went to 11.
Yeah. And he stayed pretty healthy. He was not hurt that much.
The two guys who I think go the most underrated on this are Larry Fitzgerald and Calvin Johnson. And I know that that's easy to say that because he's a Detroit guy, but Calvin Johnson gets foolishly underrated by people because he never played in consequential games in January and February.
And he was always double teamed.
Do
you remember the defense? They just put 2 people on him, period.
Worse than it's ever been before, probably.
Yeah, it was just gaudy.
Maybe Jerry Rice dealt with it a little bit, but not the way Calvin Johnson did.
Not the way he did.
They would cheat the free safety on a lot of these guys.
Yeah.
But they would just line 2 guys up on Calvin Johnson.
They just had 2 guys on him, 5 yards off the ball.
So Calvin Johnson, for those of you who are new to the game of football, went to Georgia Tech. He was not part of a prolific passing offense. Matter of fact, at Georgia Tech, Reggie Ball was his quarterback, I think, all 4 years. He threw more picks than he threw touchdowns. So didn't come from a lineage of blue blood offenses where he got to refine his skills, but he was a physical specimen. He won every award for receivers during his senior year, even with poor quarterback play at Georgia Tech. And then he comes to the Lions and just, again, without great quarterback play. Until Matthew Stafford arrives, when he actually gets somebody consistent to throw. I mean, he had Dan Orlovsky.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, but until Matthew Stafford arrives in Detroit, once he arrives, he goes 6 Pro Bowls in a row.
Yeah.
Once he's got anybody that can get him the ball, he goes 6 Pro Bowls in a row. NFL Offensive Player of the Year. Of course, he's got cheated a couple of times.
Just go to show you, too, we talk about injuries, taking people down. He had a bad knee, and I think that's the reason that he ended up quitting. He had a bad knee. Just had a degenerative issue with his knee that wouldn't get better.
And one of the greatest nicknames in the history of football, Megatron. And Megatron, at that period, and a 6-year run is one hell of a run, uncoverable one-on-one.
Yeah.
0 people in the NFL could cover Calvin Johnson in the prime of his career, one-on-one.
Look at his size. Look at his speed. I mean, I'm not saying that, it's not deserving. It's absolutely deserving. But, it was fun to watch. I went to a lot of games back then, and he was uncoverable.
He was. And the only guy who I think physically matched him is the next guy I want to bring up. And there's going to be a lot of players from this era that we're going to talk about, is Terrell Owens.
Yeah.
T.O. was the same kind of, maybe just an inch shorter than Calvin, maybe a little bit slower. I mean, Calvin was legit 4.4, probably goes 4.3 in the beginning of his career. I know he was timed at 4.38, 4.39.
But 40 time isn't everything either. Not everything.
Right. Terrell Owens had all the pieces and great hands.
Yeah.
And amongst all of these guys, and I know a lot of these, there's a lot of bravado, there's a lot of macho, nobody went over the middle like Terrell Owens. Terrell Owens would go over the middle and make you eat your lunch if you thought you were bringing thunder on him.
Back to the Super Bowls, but no Super Bowls.
Terrell Owens didn't win one?
No.
He didn't get one he didn't get that one with Steve Young?
No.
Really?
No Super Bowls.
He chased the Super Bowl.
6-time Pro Bowler, good player, great player, but no Super Bowls.
We've hinted at Jerry Rice.
Yeah.
Right? Another San Francisco 49er.
Yeah. 3 Super Bowls.
3 Super Bowls and a hell of a run with the Raiders at the end of his career where he was still premium.
13 Pro Bowls.
Oh, my God.
13 Pro Bowls.
How do you go to 13 Pro Bowls at wide receiver?
13 Pro Bowls.
When every time you go out, somebody could take out a leg and end your career.
So I think it was my 3rd year in the league. David Sloan and Steve Boyd went to the Pro Bowl.
Stephen Boyd made a Pro Bowl?
Stephen Boyd went to the Pro Bowl.
That Boston College son of a bitch.
Yeah. Beer drinking.
Love that guy.
A guy could drink a case of beer and play better than we'd ever dream of playing the next day. And a great guy and a great leader, Steve was.
It's that Jesuit tradition.
Yeah.
Over at Boston College.
Oh, yeah, here we go. But anyway, Sloan went to the Pro Bowl. He got in. A couple guys got injured.
I would have bet you 10-1 that David Sloan never made a Pro Bowl. I can't believe that.
He did. So he was there, 2 beers in his hands. He sent me the picture. And 2 girls sitting on his legs, shirt off, at a bar.
He had his shirt off. The girls didn't have.
Okay, they didn't. He just had 2 beers like this.
We're explicit, but we're PG-13.
Sloan
we're not,
was ripped.
Okay,
just gigantic, 6'7" ripped. 2 beers, 2 girls. He said, "I'm enjoying the Pro Bowl."
Because he knew he'd never be back.
He'd never be back. Dave was a good player.
He was a very good player. He was a very good player. I mean, that just goes to show you what it takes to make a Pro Bowl in the NFL when tight end is a singular position. Yeah. You don't get 2 tight ends on the field at the same time like you do wide receiver and running backs.
Yeah.
David Sloan made a Pro Bowl.
Yeah. I've got Joe Horn in my top 10, 4-time Pro Bowler. No Super Bowl for Joe Horn. I know.
Player. Horn didn't win the Drew Brees Super Bowl? He wasn't on that team?
I don't think so.
Wow.
I've got him as no Super Bowl. Isaac Bruce, who I played against, 4 times Pro Bowler. He did win 1 Super Bowl. Reggie Wayne, only 1 Super Bowl. I thought they won a couple, but they only won 1 Super. He only won 1 Super Bowl, 6-time Pro Bowler.
Yeah, the one that's not on here that should be is Marvin Harrison. Marvin Harrison was an absolute. He's another 8-time All-Pro. He's another guy that kind of slipped through the cracks. Marvin Harrison, to me, is right there knocking on the door to be on Mount Rushmore. He doesn't quite get there for me. The guy we haven't brought up is you got mossed. Randy Moss was sick in every way, and he starts this trend of guys who just say throw it up, jump ball. Basketball player in high school, of course, famously he played with Jason Williams, played a long career in the NBA. He goes to Marshall. I went to the game. I was at, I think, was it one of the first games at Ford Field? The bowl game where Randy Moss, it was either one of the last games of the Silverdome or one of the first games at Ford Field, where Randy Moss was playing for Marshall and Chad Pennington was the quarterback, and they were just throwing jump balls. It was something to watch.
I don't have it on here. Did Randy Moss win a Super Bowl?
Oh, with Patriots. Oh, absolutely.
He had to.
Yeah.
But I also have Michael Irvin, 5-time Pro Bowler, 3-time Super Bowl champ. There's not many guys that have won a Super Bowl 3 times.
Yeah.
Jerry Rice won it. We've got him as our number 1 guy, but not many. Those Super Bowls are elusive.
I got a Michael Irvin.
They are not. We've got the best players. We've got the best quarterback. You're going to win a Super Bowl. I mean, look at the NFL. Oh, what was it? 2 weeks ago, I think. What was it? Arizona went into San Fran and won.
Yeah.
And won.
I know.
In San Fran.
It's hard to.
Are you kidding me?
It's hard to get to the promised land.
It is. You got to have a lot of shit go your way.
You got to have a lot of stuff go your way. I have a Michael Irvin story for you. There are a lot of bad stories.
Tons.
About Michael Irvin's career. This is going to be a good one.
Blow and hookers and,
Did you read Perlman's book about the Cowboys?
No.
Okay, so there's a book out there about how insane the Cowboys' 90s were with Jerry Jones, who's in the news again for berating a broadcaster who didn't ask him the right questions because, when you're a billionaire, you want to be asked all the softball questions. But Michael Irvin, during this era, was kind of a bully in the locker room, messed with a lot of guys. So you mentioned a couple guys. You used the word Bible thumper. These are spiritual guys, right? The spiritual guys on that Dallas team really took it hard from Michael Irvin. It was abusive. And Robert Jones was one of these guys, the linebacker for them, who ended up going to the Redskins at the end of his career. And the reason why the story is interesting, Robert Jones was bullied by Michael Irvin and these guys. He never felt like he was part of the team. Even Jimmy Johnson was a bully and called him out numerous times.
In the 90s, bullying was still part of football.
Yeah. Parcells kind of screaming at guys all the way off the field.
Rookies strip, believe me, when I was there, rookies got treated like shit.
Yeah.
And we knew we were going to get treated like shit.
It was there was no sensitivity. And Robert Jones took the brunt of this on that team. Them thinking he was underperforming, him feeling like he was alienated by the team. Well, he ends up in Washington. And the Washington trainer comes into the locker room. This is like the last year that he's playing. He played like a 10-year career in the NFL. The trainer says, "Hey, Robert, Michael Irvin is outside the locker room. Wants to talk to you. Irvin's playing for the Cowboys. They're the visitor. And he's outside his locker room." He says, "I hate this guy. He hates me. Like we didn't like each other. What does he want to talk to me for?" And the guy said, no, he's out there and he wants to talk to you. So he goes out, he walks out, pokes his head out, and Michael's standing there and says, "Hey, I just want to talk to you." He said, "I want to apologize for the way I treated you when you played for us. Mm-hmm. You were trying to do things the right way and be the right kind of human being, and I was doing things the wrong way, and I was the wrong kind of human being." So even in Michael Irvin, I didn't realize. Now, I knew that Michael Irvin kind of had his come to Jesus moment when he got out of the league, but that was kind of inspiring for me that this guy, Michael Irvin, even made the realization while he was still playing in the league that he needed to make very serious lifestyle changes or he wasn't going to live as long as, and be the kind of human being he wanted to be. So I was pretty impressed by that.
Yeah.
That you make the turn. There's a lot of guys that are still just assholes.
Oh, just because they can be.
And just because
it's okay. It's okay. It's part of the NFL. You're dealing with ultra cocky males that have been able to beat the shit out of everybody that they've come in contact with their whole life.
Yeah.
Right? They go to a bar, they're not worried. They go anywhere, they're not worried. Anybody messes with them, they've got 3 other guys their size behind them.
And this position,
like people, even at Wayne State, people say, "Oh my God, Wayne State, that's a murder capital of the world." Blah blah blah. Did me and you ever have a problem at Wayne State?
No,
never.
No, there was a matter of fact. The friends that we had that went to Michigan State and
they
Michigan
were more messed
were
up.
Getting
they were
way more
messed
trouble
up than the people that were in the street.
You hear about a gun charge? A guy's got a gun in his car. It was always at Michigan or Michigan State. It was never Wayne. We never had any of that stuff.
Yeah. I would agree. There's assholes everywhere. Any business you get into, there's people that are just not good people.
Yeah.
There's not good people in every business and everywhere. So,
but the wide receiver position that we are debating and talking about right now is probably the position we talked about edge pass rushers being kind of crazy. Wide receivers are crazy as a bunch of shithouse rats. Yeah. When you look at the highest level, it isn't just the Michael Irvin craziness. Randy Moss had multiple run-ins. Yeah. There was always issue. Antonio Brown obviously was a total mess. Chris Carter damn near ran himself out of the league with cocaine and drugs, but he's another one. That's another redemption story. He comes back from that, leaves Philadelphia. He ends up thanking Buddy Ryan for kicking him out of Philadelphia, right? He signed with Minnesota for nothing and then makes 8 Pro Bowls with Minnesota, thanking Buddy Ryan for waking him up and cutting him. Sometimes it's that rock bottom moment where you realize somebody's got to talk truth to you and tell you that you're going to die.
Yeah. Not always, but for some people, that's what they need.
For some
people, that's what they need.
There's some historical guys. Don Hudson, the Green Bay Packers, the Lombardi era. He's considered one of the first great wide receivers. Doak Walker with the Detroit Lions, who won 2 championships. Do you know Doak Walker, for all that is, Doak Walker Award and all this.
Yeah.
All of the pomp and circumstance around him. Do you know he only played in the NFL for 5 years?
Really?
And do you know why he retired? You've talked about this a lot.
Oh.
He had a better job.
Oh. I can imagine.
He had a sporting goods store in Texas where he was a god from SMU.
Dude, football's not easy.
He wanted to focus on his business as an entrepreneur.
And you imagine you're banging your head into people all day, and you got somebody that's making 4 times what you're making in the NFL.
Yeah,
what the hell am I doing this?
He's had investments, and there's some oil guys who wanted him to get involved in some stuff.
You got a girlfriend that's dad's loaded, owns a couple car dealerships. What the hell am I going to play football for?
Well, he said, you know what? I've done 5 years. I've won 2 championships. I'm done.
Yeah,
I'm good. I'm fine with this. And a lot of these receivers are now protected by the rules, thankfully.
Yeah, these rules have changed the way that defensive players hit people. And there's no question. Pull your head away, use your shoulder.
Yeah,
it's
as much as I call candy ass on the quarterback stuff.
Yeah,
the wide receiver stuff was absolutely necessary.
Oh.
There is no courage, there is no valor in the Jack Tatum DB who tries to take somebody's head off.
That isn't looking.
That isn't even looking. That is totally focused on doing something else, which is catch the ball.
Yeah.
Right. That's just that's just victimizing someone.
I mean, it's like when somebody's coming across the middle and they drop the ball and they get blown up, and the guy's like,
yeah, big tough
no
guy.
Big deal.
You hit a guy who wasn't looking, who was trying to focus on something else.
No question. Yeah. No question. It's bullshit. But people, I guess that's what people like.
This is why I love this guy, because the guy who took all those hits and kept on and retired as the all-time leading receiver was Steve Largent.
Yeah.
Steve Largent with not great quarterbacks, Jim Zorn, Dave Craig.
Dave Craig was pretty good. I played with Dave Craig.
They were decent players, but Steve Largent went to 7 Pro Bowls. He was the NFL Man of the Year. He retired as the top guy. He had 100 touchdowns.
You don't think he's the top receiver in the NFL history?
I don't.
But it's got to be Jerry Rice.
But I
mean, he still is the all-time leader in all receptions.
I give Steve Largent the props because he's my just outside looking in of the top 4. Right? Okay. He's just outside. My top 4 are still Jerry Rice, Randy Moss.
That's what I've got.
Calvin Johnson.
You got Calvin as number 3?
I do.
Okay.
And Larry Fitzgerald.
Okay.
I got Terrell Owens and Steve Largent just off.
I've got T.O. I got T.O. over, and I've got Jerry Rice, Randy Moss, T.O., even though I don't like a lot of the shit he did, but it's about football. It's not about his off-field stuff. And Larry Fitzgerald. I mean, Michael Irvin, 5 Pro Bowls and 3 Super Bowls.
I love Michael Irvin.
Should he be in the top 5?
I love Chris Carter. We brought up a lot of I love Marvin Harrison. Marvin Harrison is right there. I thought Marvin Harrison. But again, a lot of people are going to say Peyton Manning, right? How much of that was Peyton Manning and how much of that? And a lot of these guys had great. Randy Moss had Tom Brady for a portion there.
Sure.
But think about the colleges that they went to, because we got to wrap this up. But Jerry Rice went to Mississippi Valley State.
Mm-hmm. Were they D2?
At the time, I think they were like 1AA.
Okay.
Which now is what? FCS?
Yeah.
Randy Moss went to Marshall. Terrell Owens went to Tennessee, Chattanooga.
Yeah.
Larry Fitzgerald went
Pittsburgh.
to Pitt.
Yeah.
Okay. Pitt, at a time when Pitt was...
Well, Calvin Johnson...
Pitt might have had a tough time winning the MAC.
Yeah.
Okay. Calvin Johnson went to Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech was not a powerhouse.
No, they still aren't. No.
In this time and frame. Antonio Brown went to Central Michigan.
Yeah, that's right.
I mean, you go right... Steve Largent went to Tulsa. He's an Oklahoma senator now.
Yeah.
I mean, he went to Tulsa. You got to go all the way down to Michael Irvin and Chris Carter on this list to find blue bloods with Ohio State and Miami.
Yeah.
Right? And Chris Carter got kicked out. He signed with an agent, got kicked out before his senior year, lost his whole senior year.
Well, it just goes to show you all the time. Look at the NFL draft. They miss. First round picks miss.
Yeah.
I find that impossible. That you get to watch them for a whole senior. You get to watch somebody that plays at Texas for a whole senior year, gets done, goes to the All-Star game. And all the All-Star games are is combines. They're one-on-one, and they're running the 40, and their bench press, and their vertical jump. All they are is combines. How do you miss that?
No, I know.
But they do. They miss.
They miss.
Because the NFL doesn't perfectly equate to a good college football player. It just doesn't. There's certain guys that you know. But I mean, look at Ndamukong Suh. He wasn't the number 1 pick. But he was the best player in that draft. I mean, there's so many of them.
And sometimes a wide receiver is the best player, and that's just not what you need, not what your team needs.
Not what you need, correct.
Right? I mean, I look at Tim Brown for Notre Dame. We haven't brought up Tim Brown.
Yeah.
Amazing career with the Raiders. Yeah, he's a 9-time Pro Bowler. I mean, Tim Brown, he was a kick returner. He could do
just maybe you can't even pick him. Look at Bo Jackson. Who wouldn't pick Bo Jackson? I wouldn't pick him if I knew in his second year he'd be done.
and sometimes you got to look at the competing priorities, right? Bo Jackson was a baseball player.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, but I'll go to another guy. There's two more here that blow my mind. Isaac Bruce went to Memphis, right? Isaac Bruce, there was a 4 or 5 year period where he did whatever he wanted.
Yeah.
Another guy who was uncoverable. Art Monk was kind of like the first. Remember the Joe Gibbs Redskins? Art Monk was kind of the first throw it up for grabs receiver, even before Randy Moss, where he had a big, tall guy out there, won 3 Super Bowls. He went first ballot Hall of Famer. It's a Syracuse guy. Yeah. I mean, you got to go find these guys sometimes. Your scouting team's got to be one level deeper than just watching the Blue Bloods from the SEC and the Big Ten.
Here's why I'm excited. The reason I really like the Lions is because of their picks and because of their free agent picks. I think Brad Holmes has got it. Whatever it is, I don't know what it is. But he's got it. Whatever it is, and it's not just football players. Yeah, it is. I mean, it's guys that can play, but he hasn't made many mistakes. He really hasn't on his big picks, and there's mistakes all over the place. And he hasn't made many of them. It's just something about he's got it.
He's going all the way back around. Luke, I'm your father.
I'm your father.
He is Darth Vader.
He is Darth Vader.
Brad Holmes is bringing serious.
And Darth Vader we trust.
It was well produced. It was mediocrely researched.
Yeah.
But it was expertly presented. It was a GOATcast. We brought it to you. Our wide receiver list, you can see it online at GOATQuest.com. We both agree that Jerry Rice is the GOAT.
Uno.
Number one, number of years doing it, championships. Jay Rice is on commercials now. God bless him. He's finding a way to make money. You can find us on Apple, on Spotify, on Podbean, on YouTube. If you want to look at us, you want to look at our long drinks.
Like us and share us.
Share us.
Yeah.
With the world. Thank
Yeah.
you. One more time.